When it becomes a meme in the Arrowverse to say, Barry, what did you do this time? I think that we can accept that the Flash has ruined some timelines. And you know what? He's ruined quite a few. So why don't we talk about it? So let's do it. In at 10, Flashpoint, the classic one. Flashpoint is a timeline of Barry's own creation where his mother doesn't die and thus he doesn't become the Flash. Don't forget the fact that Aquaman and Wonder Woman have now gone to war, and at the very least, in the animated movie of this storyline, resulted in them destroying the world. Literally destroying the planet. Barry had to run back in time to stop himself from saving his mother, letting her die so that the planet can live. But in this case, Flash literally outruns the destruction of a planet by letting his mom die, but he also had to do it. I also don't know if I would have the strength to do that. So I think it's pretty ridiculous that Barry, in emotional turmoil, outran the destruction of a world to then sacrifice his mother. Okay, both physically and emotionally surviving that is pretty damn impressive, in my opinion. He should have either exploded with the rest of the world or not have been strong enough to sacrifice his mother. But again, this event caused so much change as well that it created a whole new continuity. Flashpoint is the jumping off point for all of the new 52. Barry literally changed DC's publishing. In at 9, Blackest Night. The prophecy of the Blackest Night foretold the impending assault by Nekron, the Lord of the Unliving, who planned to unleash the power of the Black Lantern Corps upon the universe. In the main DC universe, the heroes successfully thwarted Nekron's invasion. However, in the altered timeline of Flashpoint, the absence of key heroes, particularly Hal Jordan without his Green Lantern ring, left the universe vulnerable. Flashpoint, Abin Sur Green Lantern #1 delves into this world, revealing that Nekron and his Black Lanterns continued their merciless rampage, decimating entire populations across more than 200 sectors of space. The consequences of Barry's decision to travel back in time extended beyond endangering his world. The absence of crucial heroes and their heroic deeds in the Flashpoint timeline had far-reaching repercussions. Plus, the entire universe was at risk, not even just his Earth. Barry's actions unknowingly set in motion a chain of events that allowed Nekron's reign of death and destruction to just persist unchecked. The absence of Hal Jordan, among others, just left a void for the Black Lanterns to fill. In at 8, the Arrowverse. After the creation and the reset of the Flashpoint timeline in Season 3 of The Flash, there was some serious tension between Cisco Ramon, aka Vibe, and Barry. The reason for this is slowly revealed because in this timeline, Cisco's brother Dante was killed in a car crash when this event never occurred in the original. Dante's death affected Cisco greatly to the point where he would frequently ask Barry to change the timeline and travel back to save his brother from death, but Barry would always refuse, driving a wedge in the relationship. At some point after this, Cisco began to attend regular therapy to express his grief, but when Barry realized what was going on, he explained how he went back and saved his mother, but tried to reset things, but things didn't go quite back to the way they were supposed to, which angered Cisco even more, because Barry had saved a member of his family, but refused to do it for him. They eventually made up, but Cisco hated Barry for a good chunk of the season, with him only accepting him when Barry was going to sacrifice himself to the Dominators. In its 7, Zero Hour. Zero Hour is a crossover event that unfolded in 1994, aimed to address the abundance of potential futures and alternate timelines, much like Crisis on Infinite Earths had tackled alternate realities. The central narrative revolved around the time stream's destruction caused by Parallax, who at the time was known as Hal Jordan, who sought to reshape the universe and correct what he deemed to be flawed. Amidst the chaos, another supervillain named Extent exploited this situation, attempting to reshape the world according to his own desires, because of course. Standing against them was Wave Rider of the Linear Men, leading the charge into battle. The conflict resulted in a complete reset known as the Big Bang, effectively rebooting the DC universe again with subtle variations. This event presented an opportunity to address continuity inconsistencies, rectify problematic plot elements, and mend fractured pieces of history that no longer really worked together. Zero Hour served as a means to bring clarity to the DC universe, but it was still Barry's fault that all of that happened. In its 6, Future Flash. While Savitar was introduced as the Future Flash in the show, the real Future Flash is very different when it comes to the comics. You see, in the future, when Iris and Wally get into a car accident, Wally dies and Iris is paralyzed. So, blaming himself for not being there because he can literally run faster than teleportation, Barry ends up getting bitter and pulling his punches. He kills Reverse Flash, Mirror Master and Grodd, and then somehow this gives him enough speed to run back in time. The Speed Force had a tear in it, and Barry wants to kill his younger self and use that energy to seal it. Good Barry wakes up in a savage world that's outside of place and time, but he gets back to the normal world and fights his future self again. Then the two team up against a different villain who wants to use the Speed Force to destroy the world, and an older Barry creates an explosion large enough to kill the villain, but then also kills his younger self, to which he ends up surviving after, which is weird, but then also that older Barry takes over his dead version's life, which is crazier. Halfway through into number 5, Reverse Flashpoint. The Flash Armageddon was the opening 5-part crossover in season 8 of the show. However, in episode 4, spoiler alert I guess, it's revealed that Eobard Thawne, who looks like Wells again but is using his real name, created his own version of Flashpoint, where thanks to the new negative still force, instead of saving Barry's mother, he kills Barry as a child as he set out to do originally, or I guess Will set out to do, time travel. Anyway, he kills Barry as a kid and then he takes his place at CCPD the night the accelerator exploded, resulting in him becoming the Flash, but like actually the Flash and not a fake one. And as this episode takes place, he's one night away from marrying Iris West. Yeah. So basically Thawne changed the timeline so that he was actually the Flash, okay? No limitation, no fake outs, he was truly the Flash, and Barry was the Reverse Flash, even being connected to the negative Speed Force and having the classic red lightning and a yellow suit. As Damien Dark said, that is an evil work of art. In it for Elseworlds. The Elseworlds crossover event for the CW Arrowverse show was certainly an interesting point for various characters, and honestly one of my favorite crossovers. We saw Oliver Queen become the Flash, Barry Allen became the Green Arrow. However, surprising that anyone ended up living through this, okay? Like, nobody should have survived, because a reality-altering book should have caused a lot more damage than it did, okay? I mean, they destroyed the book and everything goes back to normal, but in my opinion, that's not how it really should have worked. If the book really was altering reality, the changes should have been permanent when the book was destroyed, and Deegan should have been thinking bigger than just swapping a couple people's identities, okay? Making the heroes the bad guys and then yourself Superman on an Earth without a Superman. But the reason Barry ruined this timeline was because he was meant to die, running around the world to slow time so that they could stop Deegan, but since it was Barry, Oliver Queen traded his life to keep Barry alive. Getting close to the end into number 3, Flash War. Following Wally West's comeback during DC Rebirth, he discovered that his children from the previous universe had been erased from existence. Vulnerable and desperate, he fell prey to the manipulations of Hunter Zolomon, also known as Zoom, leading to a conflict known as the Flash War. This clash culminated in a drastic race between Barry and Wally, resulting in the shattering of the Force Barrier, which was precisely Zoom's plan. The consequences of this catastrophic event rippled throughout the DC universe, and the disruption of the Force Barrier unleashed powerful elemental forces like the Still Force and the Strength Force, adding to the already strained stability of their universe. The sudden emergence and uncontrolled release of these forces created just more chaos and uncertainty, and just the challenges faced by the heroes and the entire reality was just nuts. But ultimately, in at number 2, Flash Forward. After enduring a devastating experience at Sanctuary during the Heroes in Crisis event, which explored his mental well-being following his loss of pre-Flashpoint family, Wally West was given an opportunity for redemption to aid in saving the multiverse in Flash Forward. Teaming up with Tempest, Wally embarked on a mission to restore balance between the dark and light multiverses, combating the encroaching darkness emanating from an unknown origin. During this quest, Wally had a shocking revelation. He discovered that the cause of the multiverse's disturbance stemmed from a reality that he had inadvertently created in a desperate attempt to bring back his lost children. This constantly shifting reality was the root of the imbalance, threatening the stability of just existence itself. So, driven by a love for his children, Wally managed to rescue them and rectify the damage that he had unintentionally caused, but in doing so, he placed the entire multiverse in jeopardy. Wally's intentions were noble, but like, damn, dude, you almost doomed reality. And finally, in at number 1, Dark Multiverse. The original Flashpoint story sees Barry save his mother and create a whole new world where he isn't the Flash, like I explained earlier. However, in the Dark Multiverse version of the story, Barry doesn't get his speed back. Instead, he dies when he and Thomas Wayne attempt to restore his power. So, the vacuum left by the Flash is filled by none other than Eobard Thawne, who claims to be the Flash and proceeds to try and end the war between the Amazons and Atlanteans by threatening people and killing killing, which absolutely obviously works out in his favor and he becomes a hero. Just kidding. Instead, this causes them to team up to destroy America. So as a way to stop this, Thawne runs back in time and creates his own version of this timeline, crafting it perfectly to his whims, something the Flash show, again, would kind of adapt in Reverse Flashpoint. In this comic though, he prevents the Flash from ever being created, he saves Bruce Wayne as well as Martha and Thomas Wayne, resulting in there being no Batman, and ends up converting every superhero to his purpose, resulting in Thawne having a whole Justice League at his disposal. Plus, he prevented Batman from being made, which is the best decision that any villain has ever made in this universe, because Batman's never gonna be on your side. Anyways, if you enjoyed that and want to know more weird crap, be sure you click the video that's popping up right here, right over my face. Click it.